Solomon Wilcots and Sam Monson here to go down the list of expected free agents at the quarterback position in 2020. But first, we give you this.
How's our financial plan coming?
Super! Chris, any advice?
With Western and Southern, preparing for your financial future can be easier than you think. Favorite receiver?
Huh?
To get started, visit westernsouthern.com.
All right, now it's time to talk about some of the quarterbacks who are going to be free agents following the 2019 season. And let's start with the prize pick of them all. And maybe we didn't expect this going into the 2019 season.
Right, I think there's one clear prize in the free agent group for quarterbacks. It's Dak Prescott.
That's right.
And you're right, heading into this season, I don't think we thought that. We were talking about, was it even worth Dallas paying him the big money contract because he hadn't really shown enough to justify that $30 million plus deal. And right now he's playing the best he's ever played. He's surpassing rookie season Dak Prescott, which was the best we'd seen from him before. He's number 6 right now in PFF grades. I think a definite career year. He's also leading the league in receiver drops. Like, he's had
That's
the
right.
most drops of any quarterback. So his numbers should be better than they are right now. And, you know, a young guy in his prime, I think he is doing enough to deserve the contract from Dallas. But if they don't give it to him, somebody will.
The Cowboys have the league's number 1 ranked passing attack. Dak Prescott only made $630,000 in 2018, only $2 million this season. He's going to hit the huge jackpot, and he's playing well enough to get the big contract. Let's talk about some of the old guys, because when I see Tom Brady on this list, if you told me that he and Drew Brees were going to be free agents at the end of this year, I would say no way.
Right, and it's interesting because they've, structured the deals in such a way, Brady in particular, that he has to become a free agent.
Has
now,
to.
It may only be for 20 minutes while they finalize the next deal, but he will be a free agent at some point. And you've got Tom Brady, you've got Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, those 04 quarterbacks are hitting free agency. Brady's the interesting one, right? Because we're talking about the greatest quarterback of all time, certainly a guy with an argument to be that. And I think we've reached the point where he's declining again. We thought it was happening.
Let's be honest. The numbers don't lie on that one.
And we thought it was happening back in 2014, and then he bounced back and had some of the best seasons of his career. But right now, again, the numbers are heading down, and this time the supporting cast around him isn't as good. So I think it's more obvious. He's no longer able to paper over the cracks in that Patriots offense the way he has been in the past. But if you have a good situation and you need a guy for a run, you're a quarterback away from contending. 2020 Tom Brady will still get it done for you.
And will he sign up for it? Because he's kind of trending the way that Peyton Manning did at the end of his career, declining, but still was playing well enough to be able to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. Drew Brees is 40 years old. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this thing. Phillip Rivers is an interesting one because it looks like both he and the team are kind of making a unanimous decision, an agreement that this may be the end of the road for a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, and Rivers doesn't have the same things you can point to with Tom Brady, who's the greatest ever, is 2 seasons removed from being the best quarterback in the NFL. Drew Brees is still the most accurate quarterback in the game. He's led the league in adjusted completion percentage for the last 3 straight seasons.
Playing at a high level.
Right. Rivers is just good. He's been very good for a long time, but the situation around him has been bad. Their offensive line has been a pretty consistent disaster. So you're not as sure about him. If you're going into 2020, you need a quarterback, albeit a short-term rental, you at least have a pretty good idea of what you're getting with Drew Brees, Tom Brady. I don't know if you can be as confident in what Phillip Rivers is bringing to you after this year.
Yeah, we all kind of feel like, what have you done for me lately? And remember, week 11 and 12, he led all quarterbacks with 7 interceptions during that 2-week stretch. And that's sort of the last blush that we have with him. And Eli Manning, it didn't look good the last time we saw him. Let's move on because you have a list of retreads and reclamations. Teddy Bridgewater won 5 games during his 5-game start for the New Orleans Saints, kept their playoff hopes alive, helped them win a 3rd straight division title. Might there be a market for him?
I think there should be. I think Teddy Bridgewater proved to people that he is back from the knee injury. This is a guy who looked like a viable, decent starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Terrible, unfortunate injury. Knee just collapsed on him,
It was bad.
and we thought his career was done. And he's kind of come back, and then with brief stints of work in mop-up duty for the Saints, it didn't look the same. It looked like Teddy might not be the same guy again, and he wasn't when he started. When he got a chance to start for Drew Brees, those first couple of outings were pretty rough. I know they won the games, but Teddy's grade was not good. And then he started to hit his groove. Then he started to take the shots downfield that he hadn't taken right at the start of that. And suddenly we started to see the old Teddy Bridgewater. I think the way he started to play, the fact that he was able to pull his grade up to the same kind of level it was back in those Vikings days. And he's still only 26. He's the same age as Dak Prescott.
He is young. There is a buyer beware quotient, at least for me, when it comes to Teddy Bridgewater, because his average depth of target during those 5 games was 6.1, ranked 31st among starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Want to see him be a little bit more aggressive, attacking defenses down the field before I'm a true believer.
And I think those last couple of weeks were big for that.
He started doing it.
Right, because early on that run, you're right, he wouldn't take a shot deep.
He would not.
Everything was underneath. But those last couple of weeks, he started to get there and started to push the ball down the field again. And when he did, he was connecting on those. So I think the last couple of weeks proved that that's at least in his game.
Ryan Tannehill has the hot hand. 5-1 right now as a starter for the Tennessee Titans. He's winning big games down the stretch, keeping this team in the playoff hunt. Clearly has passed up Marcus Mariota as the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to hit the free agent market, maybe, because the Titans can use a franchise tag to make sure he stays put.
And I think at this point, he's got to be earning himself that long-term deal in Tennessee. This is now the highest grade of his career. People forget because the last couple of seasons were so rough. He started his career really well in Miami.
He really did.
Over 80 in year 2. He looked like, maybe the next best quarterback out of that class. We had Russell Wilson hit the ground running. RG3 had the incredible rookie year.
Sure did.
Andrew Luck was kind of a slower burn. He took a while to get to the level that we expect of him when he walked away.
Cousins is part of that group.
But Tannehill looked like the guy that was actually going to be the next best quarterback after Russell Wilson, maybe Andrew Luck. And then obviously things got worse and worse in Miami. This is now the highest grade of his career this season.
Yeah, he's been penalized because he was aboard the Titanic in Miami when it hit the iceberg. And so now he's showing what he can really do. Talking about hitting an iceberg, Jameis Winston just continues to throw the football to the opposing team. Still leads the league in interceptions as we sit here right now. I don't know. I know there'll be a market for him, but I'm not so sure it'll be as a starter.
He is one of the most enigmatic, mercurial quarterbacks
up and down
in the entire NFL. We call him the most volatile quarterback in the NFL. If you're comparing him to those reactive metals, he's right at the sharp end of the periodic table. He has, even this year, this is a bad year for Jameis, right? And he still has the second best positively graded play percentage of any quarterback in the NFL. He's making the second most positively graded throws of anybody. But he leads the league in turnover-worthy plays.
On the other side, that's
so he's making more mistakes than anybody else, but he still makes a lot of good. So somebody somewhere is going to turn on his tape, and they're going to think they can stop the mistakes, and they're going to buy into the good, and they're going to still think they can get that MVP year out of Jameis.
Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota came out the same year, 1 and 2 in the same draft. At least with Jameis Winston, he runs hot or cold. Marcus Mariota is just blah. No pulse. It's just here all the time. Here all the time. And now he's declined a little. But when it comes to being a starting quarterback in the NFL, head coaches and players in the locker room, they want to know that you have a pulse. When the game gets thick, do you have the energy to help spread that energy or energize the rest of the team? I have not seen that from Marcus Mariota. Do you think there'll be a market for him? He will hit the free agent market at the end of the 2019 season.
He's the guy, I think, who's now a career backup until he gets a chance to prove otherwise. Because even when Tennessee went from Mariota to Ryan Tannehill, a huge part of the upgrade initially was just, you're at least taking the shots that Mariota's not even taking.
Exactly.
I don't even care if you complete the pass. You at least made that attempt.
That's right.
Mariota, by the end, wasn't even making those attempts.
No.
And it was just a disaster. So I think he's going to have to prove through some kind of backup role, through getting an opportunity, because a starter goes down hurt, that he can rescue his career.
Some coach, some team's going to have to fall in love with Marcus Mariota. I don't know. Maybe Chip Kelly comes back into the NFL and he gets back and
Trades
says,
the draft
I
for
want to
him
get
again."
my guy. Yeah, I want to get with Marcus Mariota. Let's finish up by talking about a couple of guys who could hit the market. Now, their contracts, both for Cam Newton and Andy Dalton, aren't up until after the 2020 season. But you could see these two teams maybe going into the draft or in free agency and moving on from Cam Newton or Dalton. They could be released as a salary cap cut, but they could also end up hitting the market
Right.
if they're cut from their respective teams.
Yeah, they're not upcoming free agents, but they could end up being free agents
That's
when
exactly
somebody
right.
terminates those contracts. Dalton, I think, clearly the team is looking to move on from him. That's why they started taking a look at what they had in Ryan Finley. Obviously, that didn't go so well.
No.
But I think the bottom line is they're looking for other options now. And they're going to be positioned at the top of the draft somewhere, whether it's number 1, number 2. They're going to have a shot at a new franchise quarterback. It would seem that the writing is on the wall for Andy Dalton. And honestly, I think he is a starting caliber quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, he's in that middle tier of quarterbacks
That's
where
right.
you need to surround him with a solid supporting cast.
Needs everything to go well.
Right, but we've seen him flourish in that environment. Back in 2015, they had a really good supporting cast
That's
around
right.
him. Good line, good receivers, and that was his best season. He can be a top 10 quarterback in that environment, but you need to have the good situation for it to be worthwhile. And then Cam Newton, honestly, it's going to come down to how healthy is he? You know, we've consistently the past few years, it's been battling injuries, you know, working through things. Even when he's theoretically healthy, he's going to need to prove to a team that he is 100% ready to go.
Yeah, he set to make $21 million during the 2020 season. I think they bring him back because that's a good number for a starting quarterback these days.
Right.
Most of them are asking for $30 million. But Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, both in that draft class of 2011 could end up on the market. That would be amazing. And I think in light of what Lamar Jackson is doing for the Baltimore Ravens, I think a lot of teams, if the coach is right, if the system is right, could imagine what if Cam Newton were in that kind of system? Could he be reborn again?
And a huge part of that is the Carolina Panthers just got rid of their head coach. Ron Rivera got fired. So they're going to be having a new guy come in, and whether they keep Cam Newton may determine, or may be dependent on who that guy is. You know, Greg Roman is a guy that's been getting head coaching talk.
He will get one.
Right, because of the job he's been doing
Yes.
with Baltimore. He's also got history of making Colin Kaepernick look like a fantastic quarterback.
did.
Cam
Yeah.
Newton, under a Greg Roman style of offense,
Reborn.
could be completely transformed.
Reborn.
So that's part of this whole dynamic is who the Panthers end up settling on as a head coach.
It's Christmas time. At least we are entering the holidays, right? If you want to go shopping for a new quarterback, take a look at this list. All you got to do is just go to our YouTube channel and take a look at the video. Go to pff.com for more content. He's Sam Monson. I'm Solomon Wilcots. This is brought to you by Western and Southern.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.